One of the key aspects when thinking about retiring and the types of financial assets and the amount of money you will need is working out what you in fact spend, not what you're going to earn. What you in fact spend is something that most people can work out quite accurately, and to some extent you can cross-check that spending by looking at your existing bank statements, say over the past year or two, and see when you've completed this budget planner whether the outlays that you have forecast actually are consistent to some extent with the amount of money that flows out of your bank accounts, presumably on things that you spend. This budget planner doesn't ask about income. We're not interested in income because what is going to be earned of different asset classes, shares and property, very hard to predict. But what you spend, much easier to forecast and model. So effectively, the process is simply asking you a string of questions for which you need to select and enter in amounts. It doesn't try and do everything. So for example, if you have a mortgage, you would put in what the payments are and then you'd select the period of those payments and it would automatically fill it in. It won't allow you to put in specific amounts for specific months. It either is going to put an annual amount or a weekly amount depending on what you select. So for example, if you put a mortgage payment of say 5,000, you put monthly, it'd be 5,000 a month. If you put that in weekly, then it's 21,667 per month. It's just rough. Remember, the idea with this calculator is that your position is that you are retired. So what you're saying to yourself is, I no longer work, what am I spending money on? So in each one of these, put the amounts. If it's not relevant, just leave it blank. And it builds up quite a detailed picture. It should give you your outflows. There is a sections for assets and liabilities. Again, you can put information in here. If you've got various bank accounts, put the details in, properties. This will give us a rough picture of your total assets. We're not particularly trying to identify specific performance of assets and classes. It's just a rough concept of what your total assets and liabilities are, which will help model this. But the key part of this planner is working out what you spend. Once we know what you spend, giving generic advice about the types of assets you have and how they may fund that expenditure, particularly in terms of when you retire, therefore you have no wages and or may not be getting a pension and are living off your savings and to some extent your life expectancy. All this can be calculated with a reasonable degree of accuracy if you do this type of planning budget carefully.